Hello everyone, welcome once again to Diane Writes. Thank you for letting me know I was muted. How is everyone today? Looks like the gang's all here. Hi James, salut Amelie. Hi Eli, hi Kayetan. And a mysterious lurker. Yes, that was concerning too, I agree Emily. I was worried that you needed comfort when you said you got your plush tiger for comfort. Yeah. Yeah. Are you okay? And yay, stimulus check there, Eli. That's great. How's the volume on the music, by the way? I haven't adjusted it yet, so I'm not sure. You had cake 2 hours ago, Amelie. What was the occasion? Okay, hugs for James. Yeah, music is great. Okay, good. Good to hear. Cake occasion. Yes. Oh, cake for cake's sake. Cake is always good. There is never a wrong time for cake. I agree with you. Cake makes good breakfast, in my opinion. So there. All right. So I don't have a lot of news to discuss at the moment, other than you may have noticed that, let's see, yes, this thingy up here has changed because coming up in the end of June, we have the Writers Conduit, which is an online conference that is going to take place over Writing Twitch, guys. It's going to be a bunch of Twitch writers are going to be streaming panels, just like panels and presentations, just like any conference that happens. A lot of conferences that people go to, of course, have moved online over the past year because of COVID, and basically we're going to do the same thing. Or workshops, that's true too. Right, we're going to, basically it's going to be similar format to Game of Tomes in that we're going to do roll over to different streams by raids in order to keep it going. And it should be a lot of fun. Author Goddess and I sat down together last night and started working on the details of the various panels and presentations and whatnot. Excuse me. I can say with 100% certainty that our original plan, the thing we promised we would be able to do for absolute certain, which was 8 hours on each of those 3 days with 3 different tracks of things you can do, done. Right? Not going to be a problem. So we're likely going to expand the calendar from here, right? The plan was if we filled those 3 blocks of 8 hours, we would then expand into 3 blocks of 16 hours. And then if we can fill that, we'll expand to 6 blocks of 24 hours. So all the 3 days, right? So I'm sure that there will be things that you will want to see and not be able to catch live, but don't forget there will be the VODs, and I will make sure that all of them are available and linked for at least a couple of weeks, for the channels that keep VODs on our website. And if people have an archive YouTube channel or something like that, then the links will remain there permanently so that you can see them anytime. It is free. You do not have to pay anything to sign up. Right? And here is I think this is the link to, yes. That is how you get there if you want to know how to get involved. So, yes, it's going to be fun. I'm really kind of looking forward to it. There's still a lot of work to do to organize everything and fill up the panels and make sure we've got workshops happening and stuff like that, but it really should be fun. There's even going to be places for people to go and hang out that are officially part of the conference that aren't actually doing anything per se, right? Just like a hangout suite. It might be a sprint lobby, or it might be, kind of a casual chat or whatever, but there will be something like that available as long as the conference is going on. So if you need a place to decompress, we can do that. because I need places to decompress sometimes. So, you responded to the form to get involved, never heard back, says Games. No, you have not, because we are, like I said, I met with Author Goddess last night, and we're just hammering out the panels now. When we have an idea of what panels for sure, or in presentations and workshops we're going to do, then we're going to contact people and ask them, hey, would you like to be on this panel that's coming up here? Or, okay, well, we think your workshop idea is great. We need a paragraph description so we can put it on our website, stuff like that. Right, so let me know as I run a panel for a living. Do you? That's awesome. June, good that you won't run during summer camp. No, we knew better than that, Cayetan. Yes, Brian, yes you do. You absolutely do need to get a format to me. Because once we've solidified what we're doing, you're stuck. That's it. Hey, Sir Swank, good to see you. Yes, exactly. Lots of people, lots of hype in the chat for Conduit. That's great. Oh no, Games. Might have watched Big Mama House today. Yeah, don't talk about diet. Yep. I don't believe in diets. I genuinely don't believe in diets. I don't think they help. I really don't think so. If you want to lose weight and have it stay off and not do this whole fluctuating nonsense, right, then put more vegetables on your plate and less carbs and exercise, right? 15 minutes a day. Oh, nice. Emily says, I had the news. I received small funding for my research, so I decided to buy cake and strawberries on Monday. Excellent. And we have the positivity planes being thrown in the chat. That's great, guys. All right. Yes, so stuff is happening. Stuff is happening. Games says, I interviewed the commissioner for Guernsey last week, Lady Atten, Supreme Court Justice, CEO for Keepall, CISO for Save the Children, and lots of others. That's awesome. That's very awesome. I do podcasting and interviews too. It tends to be important people in various subcultures, so limited famous, right? Stuff like I did a podcast for years called the Pagan Pathfinders podcast, where I talked to a bunch of people who in the pagan community, right? I've done a few panels and conferences there related to that. I was actually the guest of honor at the Canadian National Pagan Conference a couple of years ago. And in my podcast, If This Goes On, Don't Panic, I interview a lot of people in the sci-fi and fantasy community. So, Nebula nominees and Hugo winners and, stuff like that. But people in the community too, right? I think there's a lot of ways in which people contribute to their communities that make them important and people that, and interesting people that you should talk to. So you may not have heard of all of them, but they're all doing something interesting. So it's fun. You interview the great DM and Dead as a Gamer. That's awesome. I like interviewing. I like meeting people that way. And hello, Siobhan. Good to see you. Eli says, I'm trying to talk myself into not buying a Switch and paints and dice and 100 other times with my stimulus money. We might want some of that for bills. Well, that's supposed to be what it's for, but I don't blame people if they want to splurge a little bit and get some of the things that they've been waiting to get that they just haven't had the money to get because they've been paying bills, right? Yeah. Diets. I don't need it, says Natalia. Good to see you, Natalia. Yeah, diets. The problem with diets is that they slow your metabolism so that when you start eating like you normally eat anyway, then you just put it back on. It's just a ridiculous cycle. Yeah, sod diets, just be fat. It's easier, says Games. And that's the other thing. I think we have an unhealthy obsession with thinness in our society. I have a big chip on my shoulder about this, actually. I was anorexic and bulimic as a teenager, and I'm one of a very few people who has not had a relapse, right? That's really rare. I think it's less than 1% of people who ever have the diagnosis. And it's you know, a lot of it involved changing mindset, and one of those changes of mindset was that my body is great just the way it is. It's great. I don't own a bathroom scale, you know, I don't give a shit, right? I don't care. So I care that I'm healthy and in shape, that, you know, that I can do the physical things that I want to do. That's what I care about. That's it. That's all that we need to care about. Bodies come in all shapes and sizes, guys. Okay? Some people are meant to be bigger than other people. That's just the way it is. Yes, technically they're Cayutan, but so what? He says, actually, diet means the sum of all food consumed by a person, so what you said is also diet. Yes, anything that you regularly eat is a diet, for sure. Yeah, the first 3 letters of diet is die, says Siobhan, yeah. Yeah. I also don't believe in magic food bad, right? If you avoid sugary foods or fatty foods in particular, that you're going to stay thinner. You know, just, you know, if you know it's a bad for you food, have it. Just limit your portions, right? You know? James says, question, what should I include in an article sidebar about a porridge house? Geez, I don't know. Who started it? What they, you know, why they created it? I don't know. I don't know. That's like, sort of like a soup kitchen, right? Like, where people, yeah, how long has it been running? Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, I lost a friend to anorexia, says Eli. Yeah, it's fucking dangerous shit, you know? I survived. So, you know. But I'm sorry you lost your friend. That's, you know, that's really awful. And, you know, that's rough. Oh, a Waffle House, but with porridge. Oh, well, a menu then. Right? What's available? Different types of porridge. Natalia says, my weight is around 55 kilograms. I have no idea how much I weigh. I don't care. I don't care. All right, so we're showcasing, not critiquing. All right. Cool. Let's do it. I'm going to put up the sprint timer for those of you sprinting, and we'll do the showcase. Today I'm going to be posting the latest installment of the Weird West for my patrons, and then I'm going to move on to my A Few Good Elves editing, and if I get time for that, I will post that for my patrons, and then if I get time after that, I will... Okay, we have 2 showcases, so we get 1 more. That's it, guys. Right? And then after that, I will probably work on To Know Your Enemy editing, which I'm still working on. So, all right, let's look at the first one and start the sprint timer, and here we go. As soon as it shows up. Did we get a multi-pass? Nope, I didn't get a multi-pass there. I'm putting up the other one just to make sure. Oh, nope, that one's a multi-pass. Multi-pass! Okay, so the one on the thorns there, Rhea Thorns, is a multi-pass. I cannot show it. And that was showcase someone else, so I might be refunding your points there. Oh no, that's yours, okay. Yeah, games, you owe me another 500 points if you want me to do your article, right? Because showcase someone else is to showcase someone else. And the reason why I made it cheap is so that people can, like, you know, I want to encourage other people to promote other people, right? But if we're showcasing your article, 1,000 points. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, I'll refund your original 500 then as soon as I get the chance. There we go. Rhea Thorns. We got it. Brilliant. Now we'll do the first one. This is This is Sir Swank's article. So I will put the link in the chat again to make sure that people have a chance to fire it up if they haven't already. Oh, and then Eli has done the third showcase. So as of now, I'm not taking any more showcases for this show until I know that we have time to do all three of these. So, see, I figured it out. I sat down and I thought about it. A showcase takes me somewhere between 20 minutes to half an hour. So if I do 3 showcases, that's an hour and a half of the 3-hour stream, right? So I figure I limit it to 3, and then I make sure that I have some time to get things done too. Okay. Albatrossian Guild of Culinary Arts. Seeking the secrets of delicious delicacies. Sounds interesting already. I'm there. Food. Food is good. By the way, I haven't eaten yet today, and I hate you. I'm just saying. Okay. Structure. Actually, I'll read the sidebar first, because it looks like it's a small sidebar. Oh, it doesn't look like a long article here. Okay, cool. This won't take me that long, then. There might be time for another one later. Okay, type. Guild. Craftsman. Alternative names. Culinary Arts Guild. Leader. Baal Albatross. Or Albatross. I like the name. Or Albatrossian, not Albatrossian. Sorry about that. Leader title. Master Artisan. Location. Sable Aradia. Where is this? A city in the Everdeen Forest. Hidden with a high magic spell. Nice, okay. Related ranks and titles. Apprentice Assistants. Matron of Sable Aradia. Related professions. Chef. Cool. Controlled territories. The Emerald Rose. Okay, and notable members. Baal Albatross. Structure. There are always 3 instructors, and they follow the same ranking system as all artisans of Renstrom take for trade skills. The names are changed when working in the kitchen. They modified the terms for Master Artisan, Journeyman Fellow, Apprentice Assistant. However, in the kitchen, they are called Head Chef, Sous Chef, Commis Chef. The Head Chef is in charge of designing meals and lesson plans. The Journeyman Fellow guides the Commis Chef in how to make the meals and teach the students. Public agenda. Learn traditional delicacies and have a record of how to produce the great flavors and tastes. Then to teach others how to produce it at a level of quality and deliciousness. Assets. A master artisan or head chef has to give 1% of their ownership of businesses back to the Guild of Culinary Arts. In exchange, the Guild of Culinary Arts sends students, just so you know you have a typo there, you're missing a space between arts and sends students to learn hands-on in a real-world scenario. The money earned from the Guild of Culinary Arts, and that's a typo too, you don't need 2 S's there. It would be arts apostrophe. Okay. The money earned from the Guild of Culinary Arts ownership is then reinvested back into the head chef's business. By doing so, it can turn a local food cart into a brick-and-mortar establishment. Nice. Kalante Vianen had the Guild of Culinary Arts started as she saw the importance of keeping a history of great meals and traditions that go along with them. When the great city of Sable Aradia remained hidden away, she was worried traditions would be lost from other cultures. Cool, that makes sense. She turned out to be correct. Many changes tradition-wise around the continent of Renstrom happened. However, the customs regarding food and the gatherings haven't remained forgotten. Just, that's an awkward sentence and isn't really correct grammar. Okay, get to know the head chef. Baal Albatross left her beloved the Emerald Rose behind to settle with her human lover that ended in a massive heartbreak. She went back to her home of Sable Aradia and took over the Culinary Arts Guild. Baal Albatross, being well-traveled of the continent of Renstrom, was able to bring back a new cuisine for the Guild of Culinary Arts to demonstrate. She was such a great hit when she returned that the Guild of Culinary Arts gave her one of their own highest honor, and probably that's a plural there. They changed the name of the Guild of Culinary Arts to represent her new leadership. Neat. I like culinary guilds. I think that's a good idea. We need more of those in fantasy worlds. That's great. Yeah, the multi-passes from the movie The Fifth Element. Yeah. The director is French, Luc Besson. Right. Oh, hey, Dinosaur Bob. Thank you very much for the subscription renewal. You're awesome, and I really appreciate that. Thanks for all the support. Yay! Oh, and hi, Daz. Good to see you. Yeah, I was reading, the director of The Fifth Element is French, Luc Besson. It's a big classic in France, and my family were always saying the replies. The flamethrower, my chat keeps moving with my favorite. Yes, yes. Automatic flamethrower, my favorite. I love it too. That's brilliant. Yes, I love that movie actually. Yeah, good to see you guys. Oh, hey, thanks Eli. Awesome. Thank you for renewing your Prime subscription. Yay. Awesome. Thank you so much for the support, guys. That's awesome. Yes, but yes, spend Bezos' money. Spend them on Twitch streamers. Spend it where, you want to spend it, because, Bezos could use to part with some of his money. Yes. If you want something, do it yourself. Yep, exactly. Alright, we've got 6 minutes left of this sprint. I think I'm actually going to work during it rather than starting a second showcase. And we'll do the second showcase in a couple of minutes. And that would be Gaines' article. So, where was I? I was here Once Upon a Time in the Weird West, and right. So I'm adding a new chapter. I mean, in this particular case, I've already published this book, right? So I'm just updating it for my patrons weekly on World Anvil. So I believe this chapter is called Bandits. Yes. Okay. Text. I've been meaning to restart up the Weird West Chronicles, but at the moment I'm so focused on Toy Soldier Saga that's very difficult to think that far ahead about it. But I intend to start serializing it again every 3 months on Amazon in the next, sometime in the next year. Probably, I'll guess July or August, because... or maybe May. I might do it in May, because then June, July, August. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I might do it in June, actually, because it might be a good May or June, because then I have a story that I have not serialized on its own yet, and I may put that out there, but then I would need 3 months from there. So let's see, May, June, July, August is probably my best bet would be May, and if I don't do it in May, then I will do it in September. Okay. To hype my other book, too. So, alright. Now. And yes, the Kickstarter for Once Upon a Time in the Weird West, the Kickstarter for A Few Good Elves, which is the first book in the Toy Soldier Saga, is going to be in May, and the publication will be in September. Okay, there we go. There's the chapter. And I always read over it to make sure I haven't missed anything. And that's the sprint. And how did everyone... Let's have a look at the chat here. All right, Natalia's getting some junk food. Yeah, and also, Aziz, lights! When someone is too lazy to get up to turn on the lights. Quotes from The Fifth Element. Yep. Calutan says, Weird West, I almost forgot that you wrote something else than Toy Soldiers. Yeah, I haven't talked about it in a while on stream, have I? But it's a thing. It's out there. By the way, the MooBot announcement, I believe that Games GM is the only one that doesn't have the channel points collected yet, so watch his stream and make sure that you give him the channel points so that we can all get together and do our world building thing, because it's fun. Thanks for the showcase, says Sir Swank. All the talk of food and diets, I needed to, yeah, no doubt. So many people on World Anvil going with Kickstarters, says Calutan. Am I the only one who doesn't want to make money on writing and share it for free? Maybe. Lots of people do actually share their writing for free, but I'm a working class writer, and if I want to keep writing, I kind of have to make a living at it. So I sell mine, and my art's worth money. It's worth something. So that's the deal. Right? But it's cool if you want to do that, and I don't think it's a bad thing if people want to do that. I started by doing that, sharing stuff on my blog until I built up some confidence, Okay, so why are the people on World Anvil all going with Kickstarters at the same time? Well, okay, so in February was an event that Kickstarter does where they specifically promote a particular type of Kickstarter called Zine Quest, and that's where they promote the small zines, right? So we were told about it in one of the Sage workshops, and 3 of us decided to go for it and make zines, because they thought that fit their world and they thought they had enough time to put it together. So that's why, Time Pool, Ethnos, and Basic Dragon all did their Kickstarters. And then there was another one there too, Elvis impersonator game somehow or something like that. And I'm not into Elvis, so I, don't really know much more about it than that, right? I always do a Kickstarter for my book these days because everyone people ask you self-publishing. I mean, like, you just put it on Amazon and it's done, right? Okay, yeah, if you don't want anybody to read it, sure, right? But, other things in the field cost money. Cover art costs money, right? Editing costs money. Layout design costs money, right? And, advertising costs money, right? And all of this stuff is necessary if you want to put out a quality product that people might want to actually spend some money on, right? So I've Kickstarted both Once Upon a Time in the Weird West and the anthology that I published called Gunsmoke and Dragonfire, where I paid other writers. It's a collection of fantasy Western stories from a variety of different writers, and I'm very proud of it, and it's really awesome. But I had to pay the cover artist, and I had to pay the layout designer, and all that stuff. So we put out the Kickstarter and got it funded, right? I managed to get both of those funded, right? So I'm hoping that people be willing to support a few good elves too. Of course, among the rewards is the book, right? At a certain level, you get a signed book. You can get the ebook, or you can get the trade paperback, or there's going to be a hardcover version. And, I'll have little things like bookmarks and audio files of me reading the book and, stuff like that, right? So, yeah. And then I was talking about doing a Kickstarter for my book, and Eli said, I could really use to do that because I need to buy ISBNs and I can't afford to do it. And I said, oh, well, do it. And obviously that has worked out very well for them. So I'm very glad of that. That is really cool. So yes, exactly like Amelie said, we get inspirations from each other, and it's encouraging to see everyone reach their goals. And it's not so strange after a few months after Nano, people got to get time to edit their books. Yeah, or their work, says Natalia. Legit. Okay, we're doing another sprint here. So, on the last one, James for House Slappin' did 82 words, Porridge House. Awesome. Yeah, Eli says, I spent time looking at all the times I might spend money on and telling myself, not without talking to Mr. Twinkle. All the things I might spend money on. Yep. Daz is finishing her Godsheim article. Natalia is on page 25. And Games Jam is back at Friday at 8 p.m. GMT. So that'd be noon my time. I think. No, 1 o'clock my time, because we're currently in UTC -7. Did Stretch make his goal? I think so, Bob. I think he did. When is the next founder meeting? Asks Games. Yeah, Kayatan says, for me, writing is a hobby, money from other sources. And cool that you have the luxury to do that. I think that's awesome. Yeah, the next founder meeting is this coming Saturday. So. Yay, Barbarossa resubbed. It didn't tell me, though. Yeah, Natalia shared her pre-order. But yay, thank you very much for subbing. I really appreciate it. Kayatan says, but ISBNs aren't mandatory. They are if you want certain places to distribute them. Right? If you want to sell it online in most online stores, and if you want it to be available at Barnes & Noble, you have to have an ISBN. Thank you, Pride. And hello, Shadow Malachi. Hello, guys. Congrats, Malachi. That's great. Malachi's going to up to Sage. That's a good idea. I have never regretted it. It has been worth it. All right, that's ready to go. Now let's post that to the Patreon. I wonder if anybody actually answered the poll. Nope, nobody answered my poll. Boo, nobody answered my poll. Yep, Daz, apparently everybody missed the poll. Oh, is the stream going wonky for people? Is it better now? Okay. It does that when I flip back and forth between things. So. All right. Excuse me. Blah. Sorry about that, gang. I think it's about time I took my allergy pill. Fortunately, I believe I have one right here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so we'll showcase as soon as the sprint is done. Sorry. Okay, let's see here. How did I end up with 2 spaces there? Ah, you silly thing. Okay. Where was I? I think I did chapter 28, and it's time to publish chapter 29, isn't it? Yes. And that's the sprint. Alright, so because I'm just flipping back to my screen here, And I'm scrolling through the chat. Yep, Pride says, Shadow Malachi, join us, join us, join us. Except everyone doesn't seem to realize that I am one, but that's okay. No, I didn't actually. Maybe it's because I haven't seen you talk a lot in the Sage channel on Discord, but cool. Yay! Oh, Eli says ISBNs are mandatory for books to be printed, at least in the US. Okay, I did not know that. They're not mandatory in Canada, but you can't get any distribution if you print a book and you don't have an ISBN. So get an ISBN, right? And unfortunately, in the US, they charge for ISBNs. Now, if you publish through Amazon, then you can have an ISBN for free. Right, it's part of the service you pay for by publishing with Amazon and giving them a very sizable percentage of your profit, right? But, then you can only publish with Amazon. You can't publish anywhere else. So getting an ISBN is kind of important. So, at least if you're trying to actually do something professionally as a writer. So, let's see. Kayetan says, Malachi, be careful, founders like Sage Tea. Barbarossa has a writer question. Okay, I'll come back to it in just a second. Emily says, do you get automatic wisdom when you join? Nope. I think it reads you're a scholar. I don't know. Malachi says, I wanted to do Inner Sanctum, but there's apparently a waiting list for it, so Sage I will become. Yes, there is a waiting list. And how it works is that you go on the waiting list and... Okay, if you want to be Inner Sanctum, do things to support and aid the community, because they also look for that, right? So... Bob says, yeah, I've been tossing around the thought of getting on the Inner Sanctum waitlist too. I need to be a bit further along with my stuff first, though. I hear you there. Pride says, yeah, Bob, I've been busy and sick, and now... I know, you have been here for a while. I'm glad to see you back. I know you were sick, and I'm glad to see you're getting better. That's cool, Pride. And now to get to figure out a way to find the funds to pay several bills so I can keep my Sage going when it comes due. Well, that's why I have a Patreon, guys. There you go. That's part of what I do with the Patreon. So I pay for mine and Aaron's memberships, and I publish books and buy cover art for them and things. So, yep. Malachi says, Inner Sanctum is cheaper than Sage, though, in the long run. Yes, it is. Plus, with Sage, I can pay for months in advance, which I love doing. That helps, yep. I like to pay months in advance, too. Bob says, I upped to Sage in January when Dimmy made the discount available. Yep, and so did Pride. But having had no job for the last 3 months has dwindled my available funds to pocket lint and pennies. I hear you. But you're in the US, right? Did you get your stimulus check yet? I understand people are getting it. So maybe that'll help. No, pocket lint does not go far. I have lots of pocket lint too. Malachi says, I can pay for like 6 months in advance. That's cool. Kayetan says, for Grandmaster is max what I will go for. Sage is the first tier, which costs more than 1,000 PLN, and I won't spend that much on a hobby. And then I saw what Bob said in response. Sage is intended for when it stops being a hobby. Yeah, exactly. It's intended as a professional tier. Pride says, Siobhan has presented a few ideas to help me get funds to keep my few renewing subscriptions going through. That's awesome. I don't understand Google Amelie. I don't know. She's getting brownie pictures when she looks for parchment. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll start by answering. I'll go to the showcase. We're going to be doing the Rhea Thorns. This is Games GM's article. Okay, but I'll answer. This is your plant challenge, eh? That's cool. Okay, so I'll try to answer Barbarossa's question first. How do you write fight scenes? Do you... Let's see here, just a second. How did he put it? I overshot. Because that's part of what I do here, too, is answer writing questions. For crying out loud. I can't find anything. Okay. Yes. How do you go about describing fight scenes? Do you do quick wording or describe the whole event? Okay, so there's things you have to balance. There's two things you have to balance, and they're kind of contradictory to each other when you are working on a fight scene. Okay? One is pacing of the story, right? And the other is accuracy of description. And the two often work at cross purposes. Because if you're describing the details of how something works out, it tends to slow down the pacing. Pacing for a fight scene should be quick, right? It should be something where people are like, you know, skimming along, right? Okay? But, now there's different ways to do that, right? The most popular one that is currently in vogue is using short, succinct sentences with, or maybe even parts of sentences with a lot of action words, right? And keeping the reader reading quickly, doing that. An older technique, right, that still some people do, and you know, I used to do, right, is to, it basically ends up being almost run-on sentences, right? You're like, your brain, it's writing like ADD thinks, right? It's like, first I did this, and then that, and this happened, and that happened, and whoa, right? And then, you know, right, on like that. And both can work, right? There's no reason why neither can work. The art is trying to describe the details in that manner. So, okay, think of it like a movie, only you don't have time to freeze the frame or to like go into slow motion, unless you're doing it for dramatic effect. Right now, when you think about fight scenes in movies, sometimes when there's like an absolutely beautiful move or a killer shot, right, they'll slow it right down, and you got the, you know, whole slow-mo thing so that you can see the fine details, you know. So, or a particular effect, like, you know, it's supposed to indicate that the protagonist's thoughts have sped up, right? Like the scene in The Matrix where Neo, like, stops the bullets, right? So, I'd say use that kind of detail for that kind of effect in your fight scenes in a novel too, right? Don't over-describe. We don't need, for the most part, to know that the right hand came across like this in a roundhouse, and then the left hand came up for the uppercut, and, you know, bashed him in the sharp point of his chin, and then he bit his tongue, and, you know, like that's too much detail. You might describe that like, you know, a roundhouse followed by an uppercut. A roundhouse was followed by an uppercut. The uppercut connected to his chin, and he bit his tongue. Right? You know, I mean, that's not very good, but you get the idea. The other thing is use your other senses, but not to the point where it slows down. Right? It's very easy because we're all trained by movies and video games to think of fight scenes in terms of the visual effect only. But You will do much better, and your reader will enjoy it much more if you incorporate your other senses from your protagonist's point of view. We want smell, right? We want sound, if you can think about that, right? And if you've ever been in a fight, that helps, right? Because you know that when you're in a combat situation, your vision kind of narrows, right? Like, you don't notice this shit around here. You're like focused on your opponent, right? Or if you're, fighting multiple opponents, then you're not really noticing what's in front of here. You're kind of noticing the stuff of your peripheral vision, because that's what your brain instinctually knows. This is the important shit to pay attention to. And one of the things that you learn in martial arts training of any kind is that getting someone to switch their perspectives can be very helpful. Like, it can give you an advantage, and this is one of the reasons why, if you're concentrating, like when people are concentrating on one opponent, it's actually pretty easy to come up behind them and sucker punch them, because they're not paying attention to that, and our bodies, our alert system isn't designed to do that, right? So because our focus is narrowed. So yeah. Other than that, I'd say remember the laws of physics, but use them in limited ways, right? Honestly, you know how everybody takes a concussion and they get knocked out, and then a couple minutes later they get up and they just run after the bad guy? Nuh-uh. If you get hit in the head hard enough to knock you out, then you have an excruciating swimming headache and probably vertigo and nausea for several hours afterwards, and you might have brain damage and should probably lie down, in the dark and not go to sleep. So, yeah, right? But, I mean, if you keep that limited to that in your world, then it may slow down the action. So apply it limitedly, but apply it enough that people feel there's an actual cost for combat, right? It's no fun to watch Superman beat the shit out of the bad guys in a book if it's your protagonist and that's their point of view, right? It's fun if you're about to get killed by the bad guys and Superman shows up, right? It's much more fun to feel like your character has real risk when they are in a fight. Okay, so that's my 7 minutes of advice on that. I hope that was helpful. Now we will showcase this, and we will possibly go into the break if we need to. How long is it? Oh, it's very short. Okay, cool. Rhea Thorns. I'll re-put the link in the chat just in case there was a lot of response in the chat. It's further up in the chat for me, so I can't see at the moment. I will catch up in a minute. All right. Geographic distribution, no information. Toxicity 0. Concentration level, EL 98%. Yikes. Argasi translation, Gom Haregji. Or Haregji. Haregji? Good word. I like the art. Where did you get the art? No credits, so I don't know. Okay. Rhea Thorns originates. It would either be the Rhea Thorn originates or Rhea Thorns originate, right? From the common language term for reaper. Nice. Due to the inevitable and agonizing death inflicted on victims from the poisonous thorn's spines. Yikes. The contagion position? I think you meant poison, right? That's probably a typo. The contagion position concentration level estimated at EL 99%. Jesus Christ. That is insane. You know that, right? EL refers to the term effect lethality and indicates the level of toxicity within 1 microgram. Yeah, you realize that most of the industrial strength pesticides we use aren't that strong, right? Like, that is like... I'm going to try to get down to the chat here just in case you got responses to me. Credit under the image? Oh, okay. Oh, you made it! Well, that's beautiful. I love it. That looks deadly as hell. That's great. Okay. Nice artwork. Good job. Okay. The contagion concentration level estimated at EL 99% records the compound concentration at 98% toxicity with a classification category of 0. Okay, that's fantastic. I have an idea of what that means because because my hubby, Aaron, used to do agricultural spraying. His mother had a pesticide spraying company, and he used to fly planes for it, right? Crop duster, that's what he used to do, right? So, he knows something about it, and he's taught me about it, but my suggestion is put in tooltips to explain it to people, right? Classification category for toxicity marked at 0. Explain what that means, right? Yeah. Oh, you did. Okay, never mind. You did in the next paragraph. Forget I said anything. Toxicity levels are measured with 5 classification categories which scale the level of severity of lethality. The classes range from 1 to 5, with 5 being the least lethal. However, on rare occasions, the classification category for toxicity are marked at 0, or is marked at 0, is what the grammar should be, which refers to the 0 length of time that any person can be exposed to toxins. So you touch it, you're dead, is basically what you're saying, right? I'm walking in the woods, I brush by one of these leaves, it pokes me, I go, ah, and I hit the ground, and that's it, right? No, Cayetan, actually, that's 2 different things that he's got going there. Right? It was estimated at 99%, but it's recorded at 98% toxicity, which is But actually, yeah, hold on, in the sidebar, no, you're right. He's got 2 different stats with the EL and the EL. So, okay. Rheathorn's poisonous thorn spine's toxicity is rumored to be so powerful that a scratch isn't required to pierce the skin to inflict the inevitable, magically uncurable, agonizing death. Therefore, Rheathorn was named Rhea from Reaper, one of the mythical bringers of death, colloquially known as the Grim Reaper. The Rheathorn is only indigenous to Amon and isn't considered a natural plant due to its demonic nature and rumored beginnings. Well, that would explain why it's so dangerous that if I walk by and it scratches me, I die, right? The Rheathorn is a sought-after rare component ingredient for magical institutes, alchemists, and toxicologists. You need an S at the end of toxicology, or toxicologist. The origins of the Rheathorn are shrouded in myth and legend. One such myth and legend is that the Rheathorn is formed from the horrific slaughter, I think you meant? Yeah, probably do. Slaughter is spelled like this. There you go. That's the word you're looking for. Of tens of thousands of innocent people buried alive. Yeeks. And now their blood seeps from below, tainting the land. Yeah, okay. Another myth is that the demons Tarabatum, Chimaris, and Amon fought for supremacy in the underworld, and the demonic blood seeps from the underworld. Wouldn't surprise me. The Rheathorn has unique properties which vehemently and violently react, because it's plural, it's react, not reacts, okay, with healing magic and cannot be cured by magical means. Okay. Scary shit. Scary shit. You touch it, it kills you. Okay. Ammon's Reach. Tell me this is on another plane of existence, because I mean, okay. Okay. Yep, that's a perfect plant for such a place, I'd say. That looks extremely desolate and dangerous. Oh, and it's so hot your brain will boil if you're human and you're walking there without magical aid. Gotcha. Okay. Yep, that's a logical plant, and that is the sprint. just in time. Thanks for sharing that, Games. That's really... Not only does it kill you, it hurts the whole time it kills you. Okay. Yee. Okay, so we have the Dreams Mary showcase left. This is time for a break. I'm going to try to catch up on the chat here before I go for the break. Yeah, I also have always wanted to make money while writing and world building, says Malachi. So I am happy with Sage for that reason as well. Poll, huh? What poll, says Eli and Games. The poll was for my patrons, and I was asking them, I had a thought about, kind of a last minute thought about how to open the story, A Few Good Elves. And I put in a flash forward chapter, something that isn't going to come to fruition for at least 2 books, right? And I put it in there because I recognized that my beginning might be kind of slow. It starts with my character as a child. It's important because it defines his motivations. I tried to cut it out of the book and a previous edit, and my editor grilled me. He was just like, I have no idea what's motivating your character, they seem to be achieving everything they want. This is terrible, right? So I need it, right? But I know it starts a bit slow. So I thought that I would start by a hook chapter. It was originally intended to be the first chapter, and it was intended to be a flash forward of the second book, but then I reconfigured my books, right? And now those 2 books are split into 3, with part of the first book and part of the second book forming what is now the second book, and then there's a third book, okay? And there's going to be 5 total, right? And I think. I might be George R. R. Martin. There may be books added on, but... right, the thing about it is that I know... So I put that flash forward chapter at the beginning of book 1 instead and said, hey, do you guys, is this interesting, right? And I wanted people to tell me either should I skip it because they like the original start better, should I keep it because it's excellent and it hooks to the whole story, but then there's kind of a giveaway line at the very end of the chapter that tells you why I am talking about this and what is going on and how it relates to the next action. And I wanted to know if I should ditch the last line because it's too much spoiler, or if I needed it because it would, bring into the chapter. And nobody answered. So I don't know if it's just that nobody saw the poll, or if nobody cared to respond because they're like, I trust you, it's good, or if, people were too busy or what, right? I don't know. So that's the poll I'm talking about. Okay. Patron, and if you can still answer it, I don't know if you can, but it is here. I will put it in the chat. There. But I believe it is for patrons only, so if you're not a patron, you won't be able to answer. And it won't help you anyway, because if you're not a patron, you can't currently read the first chapter, so you won't know what I'm talking about. So, okay. I love your emotes, Brian. That's hilarious. Bob says, I've been building campaign environments for 40 years. It's about time I started being serious about it. Yeah, why not? Why not? Your art is worth something. It is fair to ask people to pay you to entertain them. That is allowed. That is okay. Right? If you want to put it out there for free, yes, you can, but it is also absolutely fair to ask for money for the entertainment. If I am not, if I am not making money doing this, then I have to go get a part-time job at least, and that's much less time I spend writing, right? And so I produce less content. Oh, hello, Hefe! Thank you for the raid! Yay! Welcome! You're here just in time for my first sprint break, actually. So, yeah, I'm glad to see you. How was the rest of your stream? I watched a good part of Hefe's stream today, so. And it was fun. It was casual. They were hanging out. They're playing Stream Raiders. It was fun. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put up my break sprint timer, and I'm sorry to do that just as the raid arrives. When I come back, let's see. That's what I was working on. I still have Eli's showcase to do. I don't know, we'll do one or the other, depending on what's going on or how long my break takes me. I will see you guys in 15 minutes. I'll join back in when I get back, and as always, feel free to use the break as a sprint. I will when I return. I am back and working in the background. Hey Barbarossa, I'm just working in the background here on a break. Hey Carol, good to see you. How are you? Oh, good night, Kayetan. Have a good sleep. Echo. I cannot imagine why there's an echo, unless it's reverberation in my room here. Tired and not happy, that sucks. Oh, hi Satrium, hi Darth. Good to see you guys when you came in the raid. I missed saying hi. Huh. Bad joke. I said echo, so there's an echo. That's hilarious. Okay, good. I was just double checking my audio. Alright, that's the sprint, gang. I agree. Look, Mar, everybody's under a lot of stress right now. And we may not be consciously aware of it, and we don't complain about it a lot because we know that everybody's experiencing this. But it's true. So sometimes we just don't have the spoons to do other things. If you don't have the spoons to cook, eat pizza. It's no worse for you than pretty much anything you're going to cook. And besides, it's fun. So then you can have some enthusiasm with it. And I also agree, people are different sizes, and I think we're overly concerned about size in this society, and it's stupid. Furthermore, being thin appears to be the luxury of people who are born fortunate, the young, right? And the rich. So the rest of us have much more difficulty because what we can afford to eat is carbs, right? So don't worry about it. Seriously. Nobody minds. All right. Don't be George R. R. Martin. He didn't finish his series, said Cayetan earlier. Right? But on the other hand, he got his books into a TV series, so you might be him. Well, I hope to finish my series. But I have a pretty good idea of how it ends, so Natalia's done writing for the day, which is fair enough, on page 26, and now she's singing Born This Way. I was born this way. Okay. Games thanks me for the grammar help. You're welcome. Cayetan says, actually, you can't sleep with a concussion is a myth, or at least Google tells me so. Maybe, but I don't know. They tell me to. Oh, Esong, you snuck in. I didn't even see you. I'm so sorry. Hello, and how are you? And I hope you're, I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry I did not say hi to you when you came in. You know what? Newsflash, guys. Most people don't have a choice about their weight. Right? Like, seriously. And yeah, you have a thyroid issue. That's a thing, right? Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, hey, Mark Harrell has a YouTube channel now? That's awesome. Feel free to promote the link. I agree with Brian's observations about fight scenes. If you're still here, Barbarossa. Not only that, but relevancy to the story itself. Yeah, don't include fight scenes just for the sake of fight scenes. Make them important, right? Anytime you're putting your character in mortal peril, and a fight scene is mortal peril, then it should be important. You don't need to describe a practice session unless the character is learning something significant in the practice session that goes to character or future plot. Hello, Angstaze. Good to see you. Thank you so much for the raid. We're just doing kind of the in-between chat before we go back to the sprint screen. I'm going to be doing a showcase of Eli's article, I believe it is. And yes, Daz, there's room for another showcase. So that is cool. We had some short showcases today. Game said, excuse the bad CSS. Now, you know what? I don't critique people's CSS. I say if I think it looks lovely. Oh, Natalia has a YouTube channel. Well, promote the link. Hello, Lady Writes. Good to see you. How are you doing? James got 34 words for house lapping earlier on preparing notes. And that's the dragon telling us to get back to work. Oh, nice! Cayetan is semi-pantsing a novel for the first time. Maybe this is my way. Good luck! Always try different methods if other methods haven't worked for you. That is a great idea. Okay, Daz put up her showcase. Just a sec, gang. Okay. Yeah, so back to the fight scenes, right? Oh, and there was something Brian was saying that I wanted to mention there too, right? You also need to consider how important it is for the audience to understand and witness the fight. Some stories can say they had a fist fight outside and left everyone bloody versus spending 2 pages giving us the blow-by-blow. Yeah, that's also very true. It should matter if you're going to describe it. All right. I come in peace. Please do not attack, says Bril Sheik. Welcome. Good to see you. Okay, I'm sorry for the delay here, gang. I'm just putting up Daz's showcase before I switch to Eli's. These are bound to make your day. We have puppies. All right, I'm putting the sprint timer back up, and we're doing the showcase. This is Eli's article link here, if you guys would care to follow along. No, we're not going to attack, and I don't believe I've seen you here before, Bril Sheik. Brie Shake. Let me know how it's pronounced so I can get it right. Welcome to the channel. We're talking about writing, and we're doing writing sprints, and this is currently a World Anvil article. I don't know if you're familiar with World Anvil, but it is a world-building RPG campaign design and writing software utility, right? Which is pretty amazing. So it does a lot of different things. I agree with Daz. A blow-by-blow fight scene is good if there's a lot of interplay between the combatants beyond the combat itself. Yeah, it can also go to character interaction, and that can be cool. But sometimes it really is just about the fight. Okay, so Eli's article, Dreams Mary. The Dream Flower. This relative of rosemary and lavender has the woody stems of rosemary and the flowering whorls of lavender. Favored by chefs, herbalists, and magic users, this plant has many uses, both practical and fantastical. Cool. Culinary applications. 2 main parts of this plant are used in cooking, the leaves and the seeds. Although the roots and the flowers are edible, they are considered not worth bothering with by chefs. They are both bitter, and the roots are too thin to make a meal. Makes sense. The leaves. The leaves of the Dreamsberry plant have a distinct flavor, unlike either rosemary or lavender. This flavor is best described as tasting like fresh-cut grass smells. Oh, that's neat. Kind of a very green, fresh flavor. I think I would enjoy that. Really fresh dandelion shoots can be like that in a salad. Okay. It is very commonly used in curries, but there are a few popular desserts that utilize this flavor as well. Yeah, that would go good with a curry. That sounds good in my head. I'm making Irish stew tonight, of course, it being St. Patrick's Day. You know, so. And I'm going to do it a traditional way, which is a way I haven't done it before, and I'm kind of eager to try it out. The seeds. The toasted seeds of the Dreamsberry plant have a very similar flavor to that of chocolate, but with a peppery undertone. Oh, interesting. Sure, I can totally visualize that. A bit like Aztec cocoa, maybe? Because you can get like, yeah, that would be really good. It's commonly used in desserts, although in Mexico, it's a common ingredient in mole sauce. In herbalism. Herbalists most commonly use the seeds and flowers of the Dreamsberry plant. They will also use the root, dried and ground. Although the leaves can be used with similar effect to the flowers, they are not quite as effective and are largely not used. That's unusual. It's interesting. Okay, the seeds. The seeds of the Dreamsberry plant act as an aid to digestion. Cool. Especially in cases of indigestion and IBS, the seeds can bring a great deal of relief. I need this plant. Okay, usually the fresh or dried seeds are ground and put into a capsule to be taken before eating, although some herbalists will mix the ground Dreamsberry seed with ground ginger. That sounds good. Dreamsberry seed and ginger are especially effective for use with motion sickness. Oh, neat. Okay. So used in a similar way to ginger or galangal. Okay. That's cool. Interesting that that's the seed that does that and not the root. That's cool. Okay, the flowers. The flowers of the dreamsberry plant are commonly used as tea and aid with insomnia and restlessness, lending to the name of the plant. Ah, okay. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. And put them in the dried flowers in a tea. I can see that'd be good. Oh, actually, you should clarify with the flowers if they're used dried or fresh, because there are some herbs that are only usable for their herbalist properties when fresh. Cleavers, for example. You can't dry cleavers. It's good for aiding with kidney-related ailments, especially if you're trying to pass a kidney stone, or if you've got, like, you know, an uterine infection, or UTI, right? Urinary tract infection, right? So it's good for that, but only fresh. If you dry it, it loses the volatile oils that make that work, and therefore it's almost, I mean, you know, it's not very effective as a dried plant for that purpose. So, and then there's other herbs that generally only activate certain properties when they're dried, right? I'm trying to think of what that... I know lots of that are more effective when dried off the top of my head, but I can't remember. But there were a few that were only activated when they're dried. Ginger root works better for nausea and whatnot when it is dry than when it is fresh. It'll still work when it's fresh, but it works better when it's dry. Okay. And that's because the oils become more concentrated in the drying process. Chemistry. Okay, the roots. The roots of the dreamsberry plant, in stark contrast to the flowers, are often used as a stimulant. So more like galangal. Galangal is a stimulant. It's interesting. Especially potent with dried root, it can be used as a replacement for coffee. Cool. I need this plant. The roots and the flowers of the plant should not be mixed, as they can cause serious neurological and cardiovascular harm. I can see how that would be if one is like a relaxant and the other is a stimulant. That's like taking uppers and downers. You don't want to do that. You might want to clarify here whether the serious neurological and cardiovascular harm is acute or chronic, right? Meaning acute, of course, if you mix it, it'll cause a problem right away because of the chemical interaction, right? And becomes toxic. Or does the toxin build up in your system over time, right? Taking uppers and downers, right, may not screw you up right away. You might be able to get away with it for a short period of time, but if you keep doing that, it puts such a strain on your system that it ends up with things like heart attacks. So, in magic users mainly use the dreamsberry flower, either fresh or dried, in spellcasting. If they are unable to use the flower for whatever reason, the leaves and the woody part of the plant will do in a pinch. What is the purpose for which they use it in magic? You'll find that in a lot of old-fashioned and magical herbals, they'll describe, like, what you're using it for. Like, you clarify some of it here. Is that the only purpose? Right? A magical dreaming. Dreamsberry flower, when made into a potion infused with magic, produces true dreaming. More of these dreams are always remembered clearly. Commonly used to scry the past, this potion is in high demand amongst scholars, historians, and divorce attorneys. Yeah, I like that. That's a cool thing, divorce attorneys. I like practical magic. I like how people apply magic in fantasy worlds to real life purposes, because of course divorce attorneys would do that. What actually happened? Was someone cheating on someone, you know? And they'll try to use that information. Perhaps militaries to get information about things a person has seen that could be useful for that purpose. Okay. No, it's cool. That's my only question there. Is that the only purpose for which it's used in magic? Forensics? It has a point too. Do you know that's so? You should say that, right? They need a higher amount. Or maybe people put it in their culinary creations for the effect, right? One of the reasons why we like curry is because curry tends to have a lot of stimulant herbs in it, so it makes us feel lively and good, and that's part of the enjoyment of a curry. Close one? Nah, it's... For some reason, since the last Windows update, every time I switch to, every time I've been on, say, Chrome for a while, and then I go to my Twitch studio, it bogs things down for a couple seconds. It's a pain in the ass. Anastasia says, is dreams very evident admissible in court? Civil? Criminal? I guess if it's being used by divorce attorneys, but maybe not. Maybe that's just a start a start of where to look from there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, earlier, Daz said regarding fight scenes, even silent interplay with both body and language carrying on a sort of conversation. Yeah. That can be, that can be a thing, right? How they react to each other. Maybe they're enemies and have been for a while. So that's a thing. Okay, that was a really cool article. This is Daz's showcase. I wonder, I have 4 minutes left to the sprint. No, that's not going to be done in 4 minutes. So I'm going to continue writing for the rest of the sprint here, or rather editing. And that's the sprint. Just gonna finish what I'm working on here. All right. All right, so Daz says, good news, Eli. You've got room to expand on things if you want to. I do, says Eli. Daz says, poor Emily, squeezing her article into the word count limit with butter, a shoehorn, and a little bit of word stripping. Legit. I always do that. I can totally identify. Oh, Emily says, why has my CSS randomly changed again? Murphy points out Oxtase, which I think is a good response. Yep. Emily says, my figure title suddenly became very small again, and the color and font size I chose for the tooltips is gone. That's annoying. My guess is Dimmy did some kind of update. Eli says, stimulus checks. A rich family won't even notice $1,400, but one like mine will use that money to buy probably a dozen things we've not been able to afford in the next few days. Yeah, legit. Absolutely. Absolutely true. $1,400, you know, it should be helpful to me too, but yeah. I can still get $1,000 from my provincial government aside from our regular checks. Just because but you got to apply for it. You got to have your previous taxes done. So I don't have my previous year's taxes done. I got to get them done. Natalia says, I really can't hear any more politics. We just had parliament voting. I hear ya. Empire of the Covenant. Was this intended as a showcase, Emily? Because I don't know if I'm doing another showcase. It's already 3 o'clock, and I got one from Daz to do here in a minute. You can all go admire my magnificent flowers and 2.5K article. Every time the CSS randomly changes, I panic. What if someone is reading it this very moment and sees the bad CSS? Yeah. Yep, I agree, Anastase. Ongoing SERB is still better for people than unreliable windfalls. True. Absolutely true. Oh, yay, we had a bad vote today in the UK, too. Oh, my fuck, I saw that. Was that... Okay, get this. Okay, the UK, I believe, just passed a law whereby protests that cause or could cause inconvenience were banned. Well, that's effectively banning protest. Yeah, they are protecting statues instead of women. That's a step too far for me. If I were in the UK right now, I'm just saying things might be on fire. Which I may or may not have had anything to do with. Yep, yeah, absolutely. Emily says they were repressing the manifestation, right, against women killing more strongly than anti-maskers. Yep. Agreed, authoritarianism much. In Canada, we have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I don't know what the equivalent document currently is in the UK, But what would happen if the government tried to pass a law like that here in Canada is there would immediately be a challenge in court that it was an anti-charter law and could not be passed. Now, granted, this would not prevent, shutting down protests at the time, but the government would have to therefore deal with it in Supreme Court. And they would lose, right? They would lose. So they would not be allowed to pass that law, ultimately. They might be able to enforce it for a time. I don't know what the option is in the UK, but I'm sure there's got to be something. It is, after all, democracy, right? Games GM says that's not the half of it. In 2018, Theresa May promised to abolish conversion therapy for LGBTQ+, referred to by Boris Johnson in 2020, and they are backing out. The law will go to court, and the court will likely issue a notice of incompatibility, but the court cannot overthrow Parliament. In Canada, the court can. The court can say to Parliament, no, you can't pass that law. Yeah, all the TERF stuff is absolutely terrible in the UK. The newspapers and governments are full of them. I see that. I feel for you guys. I got nothing to say other than be an inconvenience and get arrested. Bring out the whole fucking city of London and see if they can arrest everybody. Good luck, right? I don't know. Although that's pretty scary, 10 years up to 10 years in prison as your punishment for a protest that causes inconvenience. Yeah, I totally can, James. I totally can. That's not a democracy. Yeah. Oh, good news for a change. Scotland just said that we're going to renationalize our train company. Nice. I won't say Canada's perfect. We definitely have our own problems, right? Definitely. But some crazy shit going on there right now. Okay, so I'm going to do Sprint here, and then we're going to do Daz's showcase. Okay, actually, guys, here you go. This is one of my opportunities to show you about abolishing and doing away with redundancy. This sentence, right? This is a much older piece of writing. Okay, cocking his head from one side to the other in a gesture of acquiescence, the cook agreed. We don't need this, okay? If I'm going to say that the cook cocked his head from one side to the other in acquiescence, right? That means that he agreed. So I don't need the cook agreed. What I should say is the cook cocked his head from one side to the other and a gesture is unnecessary because he's making the gesture in acquiescence. Right? Which is still a bit of a long description. but it demonstrates his agreement with body language rather than telling, right? It's showing, not telling. And you guys know the gesture, like, you know? That's what I'm describing. Okay. And I keep forgetting, Shandar might be a junior officer, but he's an officer, so they have to address him with respect. And I'll break it up a bit by using the Elvish. Get some sleep. Thanks for joining me today. There's another one. Abolish and do away with redundancy. Shandar picked it up and looked at it. Opening it to the first page, he recognized the Orcish word Tarak, meaning war, and not much else. If he opened it to the first page, he's obviously fucking looking at it. Shandar picked it up. Period. Opening it to the first page, he recognized the Orcish word Tarak, meaning war. If the stream is groaning, it's because I'm checking the chat. Yeah, I still need to finish chapter 2. Now, seriously, it's good examples of, you know, there's no point in saying stuff that you don't need, right? It just bogs the text down, and the reader loses patience after a while, right? They shared a pipe together, enjoying the opportunity to relish the higher quality tobacco. Fuck. Relishing the opportunity and that's the sprint. All right. You know, I think I can close this and that'll eat up less memory. Exactly, says Daz. Anastasia says, always? I think that sometimes I'll use that when a character's thoughts are circling. They're not getting anywhere with their attempts to think, so why should you? I think that would be an excellent technique to use, actually. If they're, like, you know, cycling, then the text can cycle, and that will... It's almost a poetic means of imprinting the character's state of mind on the reader. I think that would work very well. James says, it also shows that we are not immune from it as well. It also shows as well. There's another example of abolish and do away with redundancy. If it's also, it's as well. But yeah, sorry, my brain's just on this right now. Okay. Yeah, I then have my character draw themselves out if their thoughts, like tripping over something while walking. Yep. Or other characters roll their eyes or share pained looks. Yeah, exactly. The unnecessary details, says James, and Anastasia says, just never do it by accident. Yep. Legit. There is... I wonder if there's still in my bookmarks. Are they in my bookmarks bar here? I bookmarked some stuff to talk about abolishing and doing away with redundancy, because this is something that I tend to see a lot in various fiction and whatnot, and articles that we are showcasing, and I kind of thought that maybe it might be a subject worth going over. There were a couple of good articles that I read on it, so I am considering sharing them. So let's see. Three types of redundant writing and how to avoid them. Redundancy not only makes your writing tiresome to read, but it also tends to undermine the very points you're trying to establish. And this is, regardless of the type, right? It tends to interrupt the flow of your prose, causing your reader to become distracted and annoyed. It often contradicts or otherwise undermines what you're trying to do with your writing. Example, establish a specific claim or explore an idea. It suggests an amateur quality to your writing, which threatens to leave a bad taste in your reader's mouth. Right? Two small caveats. Sometimes debates over whether a piece of text is redundant are more a reflection of differences in taste or style than of hard and fast rules pertaining to sentence structure and such, or and the like. Exceptions can be found in some of the examples provided below, and so I encourage you to understand what follows less as rigid parameters that must be obeyed at all times, and more as general guidelines. Yeah. Excessive description, right? He was a young boy, a child in fact. As a 4-year-old kid, he was not yet an adult. Because he was a child, he played with other children. He didn't have any adult friends because he was not yet an adult. He was 48 months old, which is 12 months more than 36 and 1 year more than 30. Okay, so this is an extreme example, but we get the idea. He's a 4-year-old kid, right? The overly ripe banana lay before her. It was dark in color and soft to the touch. It wasn't ripe any longer. It was ripe a few days ago, but it wasn't ripe now. Ripe bananas are yellowish green, but this one was a dark brown. Again, overdone, but I get the idea, right? And I tend to do that sometimes. That's the get back to work growl for the sprint. I think, let's see, it's 3:30, so I'm going to finish going over this article's highlights. I'll put the link here. Actually, you know what? Never mind. How to notice it as you write. My advice is, yeah. Okay, so for some people, editing as you go inhibits you. And certainly it's not going to help you doing NaNoWriMo or anything like that. For other people, it is helpful and necessary to clarify your thoughts. I sort of am halfway in between. I don't tend to edit when I'm actually putting it down on the draft, but before I move on to the next major thing, I do tend to go back and do a preliminary edit. And at the major turning points of my book, I find that I have to go back and edit what happened previously in order to make sure that it lines up. And part of my difficulty during November this year was that I had not done that with book 3. So things were chaotic and all over the place, and I feel it needs some major reworking. And I find that frustrating if I've already finished writing the draft to try to do it. So that's a major work I got to do, right? For other people, so yeah, do it as it makes you, whichever works best for you. But you don't have to do it while you write. Because the thing is, if you go back and check over your work later, looking for these particular issues, if you become aware that this is something they do, and I do it, right? I excessively describe things, or at least I used to a lot. You can see it. You're seeing me edit it now, right? So over time, as you start to look for those things, you get better at seeing them, and then when you start writing, you don't do them as much. It just naturally evolves as you become more aware and get better at editing it. So it'll happen eventually. It probably won't ever be perfect, right? I've been over this manuscript a few times, and obviously I'm still fixing that shit, right? So, alright, let's do Daz's showcase. And no, I was going to finish going over this, wasn't I? Okay. Try to strike the right balance between providing too much and too little description and detail by asking yourself the following sets of questions. 1. How is the reader likely to respond to my writing here? Will it engage her and keep her attention? Or will it bore her, causing her to lose interest, and or perhaps make her feel frustrated by having to struggle through the text? 2. Have I provided more description than what's necessary to convey the essence of the point I wish to make? You saw me editing exactly that type of redundancy, right? If so, do I actually need the extra descriptors? How, if at all, are they helping me to express my point? Hint, they're probably not, right? So the key becomes choosing the right word. Occasionally you need 2, but usually you need 1, because the art of English is to choose the right word that has the right connotations for what you're trying to get across. Okay, so using 2 or more words and phrases that both serve the same purpose. We also need to consider the impact of environmentalism as well. Also and as well both perform the same function. They both add to that which came before what's being discussed. There's simply no need to doubly signify the addition of another point. Also or as well is sufficient here. Also and as well is redundant. However, but one fact he refused to acknowledge is, similarly, however, and but, when used in this way, both execute the same function. They both serve to qualify, add detail to that which came before. Again, only use 1. And since that would be at the beginning of a sentence, usually it's however, right? Depending on the style of writing. If you're going for a more casual style, I start sentences with but a lot, and it's because I tend to be, my style is not formal, and it's not intended to be, right? And I'll also say anything in this section is, don't pay any attention if it's in quotation marks, right? If it's in quotation marks, it's fine. People talk how they talk. People say we also need to consider the impact of environmentalism as well, quite a bit. So, and that shows you something about the character, right? Although the lawyers did call 3 separate witnesses, however. Although and however are the same thing, right? Other than Brown's 2011 examination of the impact of rising inflation rates on the average American's ability to secure a mortgage, no other study has utilized the model to empirically assess. The use of other in the sentence is redundant. The very purpose of the phrase putting other than at the beginning of the sentence is to allow the second half to proceed without having to use other, right? Yeah, and that's either slow down a bit when you're writing or, get it in the edit. Why am I putting these words in this particular part of the sentence? If I were to remove one of the words or rearrange its placement, would the sentence still signify the same thing? Do 2 more or more words and phrases in this sentence both perform the same function? If so, is there any reason why I shouldn't remove one of them? What exactly am I trying to convey here? Does this particular word or these particular words actually help me express this point? If not, it should go. Okay, we don't need to go over technical redundancies because this thing about, repeating a reference, because we're not doing technical writing, we're talking about prose here. Yeah. Uncreative repetition. This refers to writing that unnecessarily repeats the same basic claim or argument without providing any additional context, detail, insight, or nuance. Okay? The outcome is monotonous, that comes across as pointlessly sluggish, long-winded, and circular. And this is a tendency that I see a lot in World Anvil articles because we're trying to write like encyclopedias, right? So we want to sound like we're intellectual. So we do this. Her stance on issue X is morally deplorable. It offends standards of right versus wrong, of decency versus indecency. It stands in the face of that which is good and just and righteous and noble. It has no moral substance. It's virtueless and lacks integrity. And in essence, these 5 sentences do little more than suggest that the politician's position on issue X is morally problematic. You know? Whilst the paragraph offers a plethora of synonyms for morally deplorable, none of these synonyms add anything of substance to the text that helps the reader understand why her commitments are morally flawed and in what ways. Right? So you don't need that. Now, if you were having someone giving a speech where they're trying to emphasize something, you could do what I call poetic repetition, which is use 3, right? Stop. Okay, her stance on issue X is morally deplorable. It offends standards of right versus wrong, of decency versus indecency. It stands in the face of that which is good and just and righteous and noble. End. Right? Yeah. So how to avoid it? How many times have I made this point already? Is each articulation truly necessary? Can I remove one or more instances without affecting the overall coherence, intelligibility, and persuasiveness of my words? Are the various reinstatements of this point virtually identical to each other, or do some of them add new information, insights, or create new connections with other parts of the text? Am I repeating myself for illegitimate reasons, such as needing to satisfy word limit requirements or wanting to avoid having to think harder about some of the issues at hand? Right, so, or am I trying to sound more intelligent than I think I am? Right, because that is something that I see a lot, and I do it a lot, or at least I used to. I've gotten much better at it, but, when you're trying to sound like I'm really informed and I know what I'm talking about, then it can be, because encyclopedic language comes across to us as very highbrow and academic. We tend to overdo the academic when we're presenting it, right? So yeah, there's some thoughts of redundancy. I have more, and I'll get into them next. Right, so I'm just waiting for my stream to catch me since I flipped to the chat. Yeah. Anastasia says, yesterday's stream, my character spent the whole stream staring at a building rather than going inside. James, the link is just above there in the chat. I'll link it again, though. That's the link. Okay. Yeah, but for the grace of God, there right we, says Anastasia. Yes, I do this a lot. That's why I pay attention to it, right? Because I'm aware that this is a flaw that I've had to work on in my own writing. Carol says, the description of English points in English makes my eyes cross. Yeah, fair enough. But it's important to know, right? Yep, bloviation for fun and profit, says Anastasia. Yes, bloviation, that's exactly it, right? Thanks, James, for providing an example that I can edit a bit for you. After the business's first winter and the popularity of the porridge continued into the year as well. No, I'm sorry, Claire, I can't. Not today. I have 20 minutes left and I have one showcase waiting. I apologize. I will fire up my point return thing. I'll have to get you next time because I'm afraid I do not have time today. But hold that thought, and I will get you on the next time that I do critiques, which will either be Saturday or, yeah, it'll either be Saturday or Sunday. So, okay, I gotta refund that one to games. But I'm glad to see you, and I'm sorry that you ended up coming in like at the end of the stream, so I couldn't do it. Okay. Oh, they want me to put a chat command in. Okay, I could do that. All right. Okay, I'll do the rest of this later. But yeah, I will put in a chat command. Oh dear. Emily says, I made a list of all the broken CSS I have. This is so annoying. And when I used the inspector, the names didn't change, so my code should be working. Yeah, okay. That one was long? Yeah. Okay. James says, this gives me an opportunity to edit, right? After the business's first winter, and the popularity of the porridge continued into the year as well, not just a winter warmer for employees across the country in the southeast. Okay. After the first winter, into the year, and not just a winter warmer, all accomplished the same purpose. So, you could cut this whole thing and keep every important piece of information you put in there by saying, okay, do we already know in the article that this is a county in the southeast? Because you don't necessarily need to say that, right? And that's the end of the sprint. Right, I would say, and let me know how you did if you're sprinting. Okay, James, okay, I would say, the popularity of the porridge spread into the general population and outside of the county after its first year as a winter warmer. You know, because I like the phrase winter warmer. I would try to use that somehow because I think that's a nice phrase. Or not just a winter warmer, the popularity of this porridge spread into the general population. Or, yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, you're right. Sorry. Right with Aaron is on tonight. That is on at midnight. On midnight, Friday morning, PST. That would be 7 a.m. GMT on Friday. Yes, that is the next one. I may or may not be, you know, I may or may not be on. Odds are fairly good I won't be tonight. I have had crap sleep for 2 days in a row, and it was up rather late, and I probably need to get some more sleep. But, you know, I might be. If I'm still awake, I'll probably show up. Yeah, that would be why I never catch it. No, we don't know what started in the southeast? Okay, I was trying to hide where I live with saying the southeast. You know, you could just say it spread beyond the region of its origin. You know, you don't have to be that particular, right? Ah, you're after his sensitivity reading is all. Yeah, he'll be on tonight. So that would be a good time. I will poke him to remind him to check what you sent him, just to make sure that he did get a chance to read it. It's been kind of a crazy week. You know, the move from hell continues. So they now sprayed my mother's new place as a preventative for bed bugs. I may or may not be conscious. Yeah. Fair enough. Right? And so once again, on short notice, we had to find her and a hotel room. And originally they said they were going to do it the Wednesday after, and they didn't, right? And then they didn't bother to inform us when it was going to be next, which reminds me, I need to call them and yell at them. Okay. All right. All right, so this is Daz's article. This is going to be our last showcase of the day. There's no urgency. I'm just not wanting to miss the conjunction of scheduling. Well, then rather than making you stay up late, like, if you show up, I'm sure he'll do it. And if you don't, then it can wait. Right? And, let's see, when is he next on? He's on Friday, Ask an Old GM at 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. GMT. So, oh, and hey, you guys may have noticed, if you've gone to my About page there, you'll notice that I changed a couple of things, right? I've put things in a slightly different order. I've added there's Kickstarter coming in May for my book, and I've added a stream schedule countdown. So maybe that is helpful if you're wondering when we're next supposed to be on. And if we're not on, and it has counted down, and we haven't said anything, poke us on the Discord, because chances are we fell asleep and forgot or something. Right? We'll let you know. So, alright. Let's do Daz's showcase, and the dragon's going to growl to get back to work in a minute. And then after this sprint, we are going to raid someone. So I should check and see who's on. Ah, coffee's on. Okay. No, wait, no. Oh, Geeks Anonymous and Gala are on. Actually, I was looking at the wrong day. And coffee's not on till later. Okay. I feel a little bad about using the GM ones, though not enough to not do it. That's totally cool. If you prefer doing it on a writing day, Write with Aaron is on at 2 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. GMT on Saturday, and it runs for 2.5 hours. So that may be a better slot if you really care. He doesn't mind, so don't worry about it if you want to do it on the GM stream. Alright, Daz's article. And let me know, guys, in the chat, do we want to raid Geeks Anonymous or Gala when we're done? Okay, Daz LeCat's article. Godsheim. I like the picture. There's the link. Okay. Does forgo and forgotten mean the same thing? No. Forgo means to give up or choose not to do. And forgotten, means that you don't remember. Okay. Godsheim. Origin of Godsheim. In the beginning there was no moon or even the world. There was simply the infinite vastness of the cosmos and the great stellar beings who hatched out from the nebulous seas to explore the wonders in the cosmos. I would say it's wonders, along the lines of, redundancy, right? Two such beings, twins named Edor and Eider, discovered an even faster way to travel the cosmos. They called it dreamwalking. However, that required them to remain coiled up asleep. You may choose to use another word here instead of cosmos, the universe, creation, the celestial firmament, I don't know, right? They called it dreamwalking. However, that required them to remain coiled up asleep and vulnerable to other stellar beings unless they took turns guarding each other. This proved very tedious and dull. For the twin not dreamwalking, I might be inclined to use tedious or dull. And I would say tedious is probably the more effective word there. But, I mean, they do mean slightly different things, so, okay. So they decided to make great shells. Idor made the world with a core of comfy molten rock. Idor liked things much hotter, so he made the sun to sleep within. With the new homes done, the twins settled in and began to dreamwalk the cosmos. Life sprang upon the world with titanic creatures who fed is the word you want because everything else is past tense, right? Fed off the magic seeping through the young world and shining down from the new sun. These creatures competed between themselves to each be the greatest. The most powerful of these named themselves gods and took great care who they invited into their ranks. Zoot was not happy being just a god. He wanted to be the god of gods. To do this, he recruited others who were resentful at not being accepted into the god ranks, promising them all god rank when they overthrew the current gods. Still, they were not going to be enough, so Zoot called the demons from of the cosmos. I think you mean out of the cosmos, right? Together they attacked the gods. The battle raged across the world, wreaking great devastation until the demons, who really wanted to feed on the sleeping Idor, shattered the world. Idor had been no fool when making his home and had set a trap. The moment the world broke, he was instantly back into his sleeping body. He awoke in a towering rage, shocking all the gods and greater beings who had survived the wrecking of the world. Not even Zoot had known Idor slumbered in the core of the world. You've got the world repeated a lot here. You might want to kind of rethink about it. Okay. In punishment, Idor forced them all to rebuild his world, an expensive power, I think. You'll need to get rid of the D there, it's a typo. That destroyed some outright and left okay, and here you need a comma. Okay? In punishment, Idor forced them all to rebuild his world, an expensive power that destroyed some outright, comma, and left the rest terribly weak. While they did this, Idor gathered all the demons who could not be destroyed together, breaking them down into the tiniest of bits until they... okay, I see what you did there. Okay, while they did this, Idor gathered all the demons who could not be destroyed together. Okay, more like, while they did this, Idor gathered up all the demons who could not be destroyed. And then here, this is a phrase the way you've got it, and to make it a complete sentence, you would say, he broke them down into the tiniest of bits until they merged into one great sloshing ooze, comma, where each bit struggled to dominate the bits next to it, you're missing two, comma, in order to grow. Actually, no, never mind the comma there. He broke them down to the tiniest bits, comma, until they merged into one great sloshing ooze, comma, where each bit struggled to dominate the bits next to it in order to grow. Idor then, you've got the, it's a typo, crafted a magical abyss upon the world and poured the demon ooze into it, sealing it away, is what I would say there. Idor was not done, and that's grisly, I like that. Idor was not done. From the bits of the world Idor had dug out to form the abyss, Idor crafted the moon. He compelled all who remained to live upon the moon, warning them that if there was ever too much godly presence on the world, he would awaken again and destroy them all. Zoot, however, was banished from the world and the moon, forced to wander the cosmos alone. The gods named the moon Godsheim. That is some intense creation myth. That is really cool. Okay. What is Godsheim? God's is the moon, with one side in perpetual light, called heaven, and the other side in perpetual darkness, called hell. Beneath heaven is purgatory, and beneath hell is inferno. I'll point out that that light and dark side of the moon thing that we understand here is a myth. It's not really true. Like, but the moon is tidally locked to the Earth, right? But the Earth still goes around the sun, you know? So it's not true that one side of the moon always stays dark and the other side stays light. But maybe it does in your world. Hey, I'm just pointing out that this is either a magical thing or you'll have to do something to explain that. But, you know, eventually, it probably doesn't matter for the case of a, you know, we're talking about the God realm here. The laws of physics don't have to apply. Okay. Beneath heaven is purgatory, and beneath hell is inferno. Heaven is a beauteous place filled with bountiful flora. I think... Do you mean beauteous or do you need beautiful there? I'll double check. Beauteous. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Beauteous versus beautiful. Well, I guess there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, I'll leave it. Heaven is a beauteous place filled with bountiful flora and divine peace. Each hallowed god has a palace surrounded by a city of their devoted believers' souls. These lucky souls work to be reborn again or to become angels in eternal service to a god. Hell is a dark, foul place with abominable fungi forests and hellish beasts. Each unhallowed god has a lair surrounded by a city of tormented souls forced to serve that god and its devils. Oh, we need some commas here. Okay, let's see. Hell is a dark, foul place with abominable fungi forests and hellish beasts. You could use the Oxford comma there. Abominable fungi forest, and hellish beasts, but you don't have to. Each unhallowed god has a lair surrounded by a city of tormented souls, who are forced to serve that god and its devils, until they have atoned for their terrible sins. And you've got, had atoned until, but it's have atoned that you're looking for. You know, my brain is just not working right now. Atonement. Ah, yeah, that's what's wrong with it. It's got one T, not two. I was like, that looks wrong. I couldn't figure out why. Okay. Yeah, atone has one T and not two. Until they have atoned for the terrible sins. Those who fail to atone become devils who must serve that god for eternity. Bridge in clouds. Nice. Courtyard of souls. Looks like a nice place. The bridge in clouds. To get to Godheim, a soul journeys across the bridge in clouds. They arrive in the courtyard of souls where they await their judgment. There, Enebas weighs them on his scales of sin. He marks each soul with their judgment and sends them to Humadil the gatekeeper. Those marked worthy are allowed to pass through the stellar gates into heaven. Those marked unworthy are tossed down through the steely gates into purgatory. Purgatory. That looks creepy as fuck. It's Lego World. Okay. Those whose sins tip the scales are dumped into the steely gates. a trapdoor down into purgatory. You already said that they are tossed through the steely gates into purgatory here, and you need a period at the end of the sentence. If you would like to include the idea that it's a trapdoor, those marked unworthy, I would put it up here, are tossed down through the trapdoor of the steely gates into purgatory. Period. Okay. Then here I would start with, purgatory is an endless labyrinth where there are opportunities to cleanse away sins one at a time. Neat. Boki, the goddess of secrets, creates untold numbers of puzzles. Ah, that's why it's shaped like that, okay? That must be solved in a way that not only gets the... Okay. Untold numbers of puzzles, comma. I would actually start a new sentence here. Boki, the goddess of secrets, creates untold numbers of puzzles. Each must be solved, as a new sentence, each must be solved in a way that not only gets the soul to confess to a sin, but carries out some sort of penance to solve. I don't understand that, but carries out some sort of penance to solve? What is meant by that? Like that it offers a form of penance that you can do in order to feel better? Or that doing the puzzle itself is a form of penance? Do without, exactly. And yes, godly power could unlock it. Penance to perform. Incorporates a form of penance as its solution. That would be cool. Yes. So if it incorporates it as its solution, that's a great way of putting it. Okay. Right. But if it offers penance to perform, then let's see. Each must be solved in a way that not only gets the soul to confess to a sin, but, yeah, either incorporates a form of penance into its solution or offers a form of penance to perform. You do not need this next sentence at all, because you've already explained that in the previous sentence. When solved, the puzzle will cleanse that sin from the soul. Or you might say it, and that's a sprint, you might say it as, doing this cleanses the sin. When enough sins have been washed away, the soul will find its way back to the courtyard of souls and be led into heaven. Not all sins can be washed away. Those with such sins will only find their way to the inescapable blood-bone gates to hell. I would say of hell. Inescapable blood-bone gates of hell. Hell's courtyard. Love it. Inferna. Nice. Creepy fucking place. I like it. Once inside the blood-bone gates, souls are trapped in the courtyard of hell. To hell. Yeah. Okay. Each unhallowed god has their own... You've got own twice. Crew of soul fetcher devils to haul new souls to their domain. Battles often rage between rival crews. When captured by a soul fetcher, the souls are the servants and playthings of that god and his devils. Servitude and torment is their lot until all their dark sins are slowly bled out of them. After that happens, they are spat out of the blood-bone gates back into purgatory, where they can wash away the rest of their sins. Those whose sins cannot be bled out of them are tossed into the burning maw, the gate into Inferna, where they are agonizingly forged into a devil that then serves an unhallowed god for all eternity. I like it. It's got a very, I see the strong Paradise Lost influence here. I love this. I have, I think that you, I'd like to know what sins qualify which rank, right? Is, do you have to be absolutely pure to get into heaven, right? I tell white lies all the time, right? I tell them because sometimes, it's just either not in your interest to piss people off for no reason or whatever, right? So does that mean I don't get into heaven, or is that okay? And people like, whatever, you did it for reasons of kindness. Like, I often do it because I don't, or more often it's a lie by omission, right? I try to be kind to people. There's no point in bringing harmful truth to people, right? Unless not bringing them the harmful truth means that they will continue to harm others, right? So, whatever, right? And, wrath is a problem of mine. I get angry very easily and stuff like that. Like, how does all that, I rarely do anything about it, but I don't know. Well, not genuinely angry. Grouchy, I should say, but I don't know. Right? I don't think that needs to be in this article, but I think you need to link it to another article that explains your hierarchy of sins. Yeah. That's a good way. I like what Bob said. I think that's the way you should go. To solve a puzzle, one must confess a sin and perform a penance to atone for it. Right. Hey, Stretch, good to see you. I don't know what you mean. I've never seen you rant once. Yes. Yes, Mom, of course I did, to an aging, dementia-affected parent. I'll tell you honestly, right? My mom says, "How are you?" I say, "I'm fine." I'll say that if the house is burning down, because there is nothing in the world, due to my mom's various, mental illnesses and health problems, that I can say to my mother, there's nothing, no crisis in my life that she cannot make worse, right? If I tell her that the house is burning down, right, she will constantly fret herself into a tizzy, get in my way when I try to resolve the problem, constantly remind me of this problem when I don't want to be reminded of it and need to take a break, right, and probably put herself in the hospital. Then I have to take care of her too. Right? It's not worth it. I never tell her when things are terrible in my life. It's just not, it's not kind to her. She's not capable of handling it, and it just makes the problem worse for me. So I don't tell her, right? Does that mean that, I'm going to purgatory, right? And I have to go do a penance for that? Please evacuate the burning house before taking a break, though. Yeah, I'm talking about, a week later when I'm supposed to phone insurance and try to get new clothes and whatever else, right? Okay. I'll have to check that out, Stretch. I saw a really good series on Netflix last night called The Lost Pirate Kingdom, all about the real-life pirates like Blackbeard, Anne Bonny, etc. So good I binge-watched the whole lot in one night. I will definitely have to look for that. Lost Pirate Kingdom. Cool. Yeah. So, we kind of need to know the hierarchy at some point if we're going to have a ranking system of cleansing your spirit, right? Where does murder rank, right? What about murder during war? Good night, James. See you later, right? What about killing someone to protect someone else, right? What about... killing someone to get away from your crazy abuser, right? Are these all the same sin, or are these different levels of sin? Or are they sins at all? So, yeah. Anyway, I'd like to see an article about that in the future, but, and because of the way this works, but here. Yeah. Would I rather do penance for harming your mother by making her worry, or for lying to your mother? You know what? I think, yeah, exactly. And you harm none may not be an option. I teach a class on this, actually, that The witch's reed is not necessarily a simple do not. It's complex. And what it admonishes you to do is try to do the best you can with the situation you're given, right? And try to harm the least people in the least way. Yeah, because often harm none isn't an option. Yeah, if it does no harm, do as you will. Yeah, that they say it, and it harm none, do as thou wilt, right, is how it tends to be, you know, it was originally put, and that's the more modern phrasing, the way that DM Stretch puts it. And, but I use the old one because an has a meaning, right? As long as, right? As long as it doesn't harm anybody, do whatever you want. But, okay, so in one way, that's freedom, right? Because it gets rid of a lot of unnecessary guilt. It's very good for LGBTQ people, for one thing, right? How is my being in a relationship with a woman hurting anybody, right? If you have a problem with it, that's your problem, right? It's not my problem. It's not hurting her. It's not hurting me. You're making a problem, right? So I don't have to feel guilty about that. And all the societal bullshit that is laid on us about that, you know, same thing with, you know, kink between consenting adults, right? Not hurting anybody? Have at it, Hoss, right? But on the other hand, you can't always not harm, right? There are situations where harm is necessary, or it's a matter of least harm, right? And there's no, in many cases, there's no right or wrong answer. It's a matter of what you believe, doing the best you can with what you've got. So, yeah. Anyway, that was my 5-minute lesson in Wiccan ethics, and now we're going to go raid somebody. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Are we raiding Gala, or are we raiding Geeks Anonymous? Do we have more RPG people here today, or do we have more writing people here today? Gala, says Daz. Anybody else got an opinion? I want my monkey emote. I know! I don't know what the hell happened to your monkeys. Mar lost their monkeys at some point, and I don't know why. Either it's fine by me, both are great. Okay. We're going to... Gala seems to be winning, so I'm going to put the link to Geeks Anonymous in the chat. They are cool. I think it's Geeks with a Z, right? I'm going to double check that. Oh, did I like your article, Daz? Just a minute here. Oh, I did. Okay, good. Yeah, it's a Z. Okay, so... Geeks Anonymous. Yeah, I'm a writer, says Claire. That's right. I tried to look for them everywhere. I'm sure, actually, that Mar would really appreciate it, DM Stretch, if you could help him figure out where the hell the damn things are. Because I know he's been missing those for everybody. Bonsoir, Amélie. Sleep well. Dormez bien? I don't know. It's been so while since I said sleep well. I don't remember what it is, but okay. Find it and let you know. Okay, cool. In the meantime, we're going to read Gala. Or Galacrond. I think he's doing world building at the moment because he just finished his first novel, which I think is awesome. Dormez bien? Dors bien. Thank you! Okay. Awesome. I was right. Yeah! I remembered stuff. Okay. Oh, it's the Closet Forge now. Thank you for the reminder, Siobhan. Yes, that's an important update. Guys, the guys of the Closet Forge have decided to combine their efforts into a single channel, right? It's going to be easier for them to... well, it's easier for you and us, right? Because if we want to subscribe, we only have to subscribe to one channel to support all three of them, right? And the other thing is that it brings one destination where everybody comes together, because nobody's streaming at the same time anyway, so why not, right? It's the same reason Erin and I made the decision to use my channel and not start a separate channel for Erin, because it's just... It's easier to build up one channel. It's easier for people if they only have to subscribe to one channel. It's easier for people to follow one channel, right? So that's why we did it. Okay, before we go, okay, tomorrow I'll be on for Diane Actually Writes. That starts at 2 p.m. Pacific, which will be 9 p.m. GMT this week. Runs for 3 hours. Erin is back on Friday for Ask an Old GM, 1 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. GMT. Erin will be back tomorrow night? Tomorrow night, not tonight. Just a second. I think it's tomorrow night. Friday morning. Yes, it's Friday morning, isn't it? So Erin will be back Friday morning, midnight Pacific, which is 7 a.m. GMT for Write with Erin. And that's what's happening in the next couple of days. Thanks for your support, everybody. I know who Andy McNabb is. Has a new film coming out. That's cool. Don't forget when you get to the Closet Forge to yell, "Prepare to be boarded," because we are the Sable's Privateers. And hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for all your love and support, guys. Have a great day. Bye.